Someone stole 60,000 bees from a field in Pennsylvania.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I don't know what you're talking about, but does anyone want to buy some honey? Huh? Honey?
What are those
Get
things
it?
on
Honey?
your lapel? What's up with that?
Those are bees.
Oh.
Those are bees. Those are ceramic bees. I was trying to sell the joke. I didn't do it as well as I could have. I was trying.
Okay, you failed. Failed
I'm not a
miserably.
pro. What can I tell you? Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Lakers look lost. We've got drama in Olympic figure skating, and Booger McFarland joins us to break down the Super Bowl. But we begin today with the trade we've been talking about for weeks finally happening hours before the deadline. The 76ers have sent reluctant participant Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers' son-in-law Seth Curry and the ghost of Andre Drummond and 2 first-round draft picks to the Nets for James Harden. Wilbon, you have not liked this trade before. Where does this put both teams right now?
Tone, I didn't think it was going to happen. I said yesterday I didn't think the trade would happen. It's happened. By the way, I got to start with Doc Rivers. He trades away his grandkids. Like, luckily, Philly to Brooklyn is not very far. You get on the Acela, not a big deal. I think both teams made out well, actually. I don't think you can point to a loser. I do think Philly's window for winning is now. All right, so they maybe constricted that a little bit because you're going to put James Harden out there who's 32 years old, and I don't care how much money he's scheduled to make in like 5 years, like $60 million in a year or something like that. He's got to play with Joel Embiid. It's now for them. It's now, and they traded away their best shooter, Seth Curry, right?
Totally agree.
And so you got to win. And you don't even have a backup center. They got to go into the buyout market to get a backup center to Embiid, who does miss some games. And Brooklyn expanded its window. It looks like it's years now. It doesn't have to happen just right now because Ben Simmons is 25 years old. And to me, you have to sort of spoon feed him and nurture him and care for him and sort of baby him because, he has what seem to be real issues, real to him. So I think both those teams are in position, Tone, to go for it, really hard go for it. The Eastern Conference, to me, still goes through Milwaukee and Miami. But these two are going to be in it. And how do you go against Philly when, to me, Embiid right now is the MVP of the league and he's got Harden to play with?
So I love this trade. I loved it yesterday. I loved it the day before. I've loved it since we started to talk about. I love this trade. The 76ers get something for nothing. Let me repeat this. Ben Simmons was not going to play. Nothing. They got James Harden. I understand they give up a great shooter in Curry. Harden is a much better scorer than Curry.
No question.
Harden's points will make up for all of this. Harden is in a position with Embiid to put them as major contenders right now, and Harden had checked out, Brooklyn. He didn't want to be in Brooklyn. So this is a good trade. Did Daryl Morey give up a lot? Sure, that's what you have to do every once in a while. On the other side, I disagree with you about Ben Simmons. I believe when the playoffs come around, he will be in absolutely great shape, and he will help this team as well because he doesn't need to score. And that makes Kyrie Irving happy, and that makes Kevin Durant happy. And he rebounds, and he plays defense, which those people
don't do. And he doesn't shoot free throws because he's scared to get fouled, and he can't even make a dunk attempt.
That's fine.
He's a flawed, but flawed player.
That's fine because Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving do, and now they have Seth Curry. And by the way, Doc doesn't make this trade unless he wants these people. This has made these two teams contenders again. They are better now at 5:30 than they were at noon.
True.
I think it's a wonderful, wonderful trade for both teams, and I'm glad it happened.
I want it to be 2 versus 7.
Other note.
I want to see them play each other in the first round and somebody eliminate the other. That's what I'm rooting for.
Fine.
The Lakers didn't trade Russell Westbrook, but we did have several other moves of note. The Mavs sent Kristaps Porzingis to the Wizards, Tone, for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. Forgot he was still in the league. The Celtics landed a point guard, which you wanted, Derek White from the Spurs, and the Bucks added Serge Ibaka. Tone, would you rather focus on a deal that actually happened or a splashy, if insignificant one that did not?
Yeah, I don't think it's insignificant at all, and I would rather focus on the Lakers because they should have made this trade. They should have traded Russell Westbrook away for John Wall, and that would have helped both teams because Russell Westbrook is worthless to the Lakers, absolutely worthless. The coach does not play him when the game is on the line. Is guy going to go to the Hall of Fame? He's worthless to that team, and they should have moved him. And let's look at the Lakers now. What is the bottom right now for the Lakers?
Losing to
Is
Portland
it not making the
last
playoffs? Is it not making the playoffs? Because maybe they won't make the playoffs. I would be worried about Sacramento, which added some pieces and got rid of some dead weight. I would worry. The Lakers right now, and this is the result, Mike. This is the result of the Lakers coveting LeBron James, getting LeBron James, and then letting LeBron James reshape their team. They are old. They are living on fumes. They got nobody young. They got nobody with any energy. And when LeBron leaves after this season, the Lakers will be a husk. There'll be stuff on the outside and nothing in the inside. Nothing. And Westbrook is useless to them, too. They have gone down the bowl.
They have, Tony, and part of why they went down the bowl is because they never tried anything that should have been tried with Russell Westbrook before you get to 55 starts, which he's made. Put him on the second unit, bring him off the bench, and let him have the ball and be Russell Westbrook without LeBron on the floor. Don't tell me it's an insult. Scottie Pippen was a off-the-bench player with a second unit and a great one for championship teams. So the notion that it's an insult is just dumb and lazy. Russell Westbrook, they're now going to try that with him. They should have done it a long time ago. That trade doesn't make any difference because the Lakers are done. They are toast. So let's move to something else. Why would the Dallas Mavericks get rid of Kristaps Porzingis? Money dump. So they can have some money to go after free agents to pair with the great Luka Doncic while he's still in his 20s and just entering his prime. So that the Wizards, they started off 10-3 and they had these people, and now they got rid of Montrezl Harrell. They get rid of Dinwiddie. They've now gotten rid of the people we thought were going to lead them to the playoffs at 10-3. What are the Wizards doing?
They're 10 under.
They're tearing it apart.
Marginal. They don't matter.
They are marginal.
They don't matter.
They're no more marginal than the Lakers. The Lakers don't matter because they lost to Portland last night.
Los Angeles Lakers are no worse than the second most important team in the history of the National Basketball Association.
What? They're not any good
and
now.
They're floundering now. Good job by the GM. Good job by the owner. It's done.
They won a championship.
We move now to Olympic figure
ago.
skating. Traditionally the biggest draw of that entire event. American Nathan Chen redeemed himself after falling multiple times 4 years ago and dominated the men's field on his way to winning the gold medal. And the winning Russian skating team, that's still waiting for the gold from the team event because one of their skaters tested positive for a banned heart medication that improves endurance. That skater, by the way, is a 15-year-old girl who may well be a prodigy. Wilbon, which is the bigger story?
Tony, I guess Chen, and I'm going to be serious now. I can't sit here and talk about what medication should or should not be applied to or consumed by a 15-year-old girl. Not going to do it. I got a son who's turning 14, and I know I'd be terrified to hear doctors tell me what specialists to tell me what he had to or had not had or should not have. I'm not going to get into some scream-a-thon over what a 15-year-old girl from any country, from any culture should have, because I don't know, and the people on Twitter don't know, and who knows? Maybe the doctors don't even know. So I'll say Nathan Chen. Even though I didn't watch that, I am consumed with these enormous basketball stories in the Olympics, which I used to be consumed with. I'm finding a hard time getting into, but I'll say Chen. I'll say that's the bigger story.
Normally, as somebody who, like you, watched Ben Johnson beat Carl Lewis, I would talk about doping as being more important.
Yeah.
Normally, I would do that.
Yeah.
But the Russians cheat in every Olympics. They cheat in the Winter Olympics. They cheat in the Summer Olympics. They cannot even compete as Russians. They have to compete as the Russian Olympic Committee because they are always cheating. A 15-year-old girl is not taking medication on her own. I'm sorry, she's not. Someone is giving her this medication. Right. I am presuming it's one of the trainers there, and she is considered a child because she's 15, and she's considered one of the great skaters of all time already. I'm moving away from that story because I don't fully grasp it to Chen. Because he's only, I think, the 7th American man to win a gold medal in skating. Everybody remembers Dick Button. Everybody remembers Scott Hamilton from their TV work for a long time.
By the way.
Yes, they do from TV. Sure they do. And Brian Boitano, and I'm going to give him credit. I'm going to give the bigger story here, Mike. Washington Post reported today nobody's watching the Olympics. The viewership is down 50%. That's catastrophic. It's because it's the other Olympics just over an hour ago, and again, it's around the world, and you don't know what time it's on. You don't know. Let's take a break. Coming up, we'll ask Booger McFarland whether he would rather rush Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow.
And Booger won 2 Super Bowls, so we're going to ask him what he'd tell his team before Sunday's game. Tony, there's a lot of reasons. Those are 2 of them that people aren't watching, but those aren't reasons I wouldn't watch. They're not. There are other reasons.
For the last time this season, which makes me sad, our great friend from Monday Night Countdown, ESPN football analyst Booger McFarland and wearer of golf shirts. This one's Summit in Las Vegas. Let's go to the questions. Booger, you played defensive line. Would you rather be getting after Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford?
Well, for me, it had to be Matthew Stafford. And this is no disrespect to him because I think he's a really good athlete. But he doesn't quite have the pocket awareness that Joe Burrow has. I think Joe Burrow, now that Tom Brady has retired, he is the most elusive quarterback in the pocket. Now, it doesn't mean he's the fastest or the best athlete, but you just watch his pocket awareness, his ability to slide to the left or to the right and step up and elude defenders. It's outstanding. So as a defensive lineman going after that type of quarterback, it would really make my day long because I know even if I beat my guy and got back to the quarterback, I still have to make a second or third move to get Joe Burrow down.
Wow, man. I'm going to move this off quarterbacks for a second, Booger, because you do Tony's podcast. All he wants to do is talk about quarterbacks, maybe slip a receiver name in there now and then. I'm going to go far afield, and then we're going to have you introduce whoever you want because it's all quarterbacks, receivers, Aaron Donald a little bit. But who else in this game would you like to introduce as being a key figure, an important figure in the Super Bowl?
Well, I think if the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win this game, Joe Mixon is going to have to play a key role. And everyone talks about Burrow and the set of skill position players that the Bengals have, and I think it's the best in football. But their offensive line, from a pass blocking standpoint, is not very good. So how do you help them out? You got to run the football. And I think this is an opportunity for Joe Mixon to step on a national stage and show everyone that he is a top 5 running back in football. He's big, he's elusive, he can catch the football out of the backfield, and more importantly, that'll alleviate the offensive line from having to block this ferocious Rams defensive front all day. So if you're looking for a guy that's going to kind of be a catalyst to a Bengal win, you're hoping it's not Joe Burrow because that means they'll have to throw the football a lot, and I don't think they can do that and block this Rams defensive line. You better hope it's Joe Mixon and run the football, take some of the air out of the clock, and pound this defensive front of the Rams, who, oh, by the way, Michael Wilbon is not the biggest front in the NFL. So I think the Bengals can have some success running the football.
You have quite the perspective on this game, having won a Super Bowl with Tampa in 2003 and then beat my Bears in 2007 with the Colts. Booger, if you were giving the pregame speech Sunday, what would be the areas you concentrate on in talking to either or both teams?
Well, first of all, Mike, I'm sorry for beating the Bears and sexy Rex Grossman back in Super Bowl 41. I apologize for that. No question. But if I'm giving this speech, I'm gonna go kind of Vince Lombardi, Newt Rogney. Hey guys, it's 60 minutes to immortality, but it doesn't mean that you have to do anything out of the norm. See, anytime you play in a game like this, Mike, it's not about making the spectacular play or making the play that's going to be on SportsCenter. It's about doing the little things consistently more often than the other team. And it sounds boring and it sounds mundane and it's not going to be recognized. But in a game like this, I'm often reminded what Bill Belichick often says. He says more games in this league are lost than won. Now, what does that mean? It sounds kind of crazy, but it simply means just continue to do the right thing. Don't turn the football over. Punt the football, play defense. All the little things that we as football players have come to know. If you'll do that longer than your opponent, it's amazing how the other team always makes the mistake. And I think that whichever team can do that, whichever team can just be consistently good the longest, it's not about the SportsCenter plays, it's about winning the game. And ultimately, that team will win.
All right, Booger, we will get you out of here on this. From your perspective, and you look at football as a defensive lineman, it is different than quarterbacks and wide receivers and everybody else. Different even than safeties who have a great view of the game. From your perspective, where are you leaning in this game?
So here's what I'll say. If you gave me some of that Michael Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser PTI money, I would take the points and the Bengals since Vegas is giving 4.5 to 5 points. That's what I'd tell you. Now, if you're talking about picking this game straight up, I believe the game is simple, guys. I think the Bengals offensive line may be one of the worst I've ever seen. You look at that Rams defensive front led by Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. I don't think they can block them. And if they can't block them, they can't score. And if they can't score, they can't win. So I'm not only leaning, I'm jumping over the fence and putting my 2 feet on the ground with the Los Angeles Rams. I just think that defensive front is going to be too much. However, if I'm a gambling man, give me that money, Mike. Give me that money, Tony. I'll take it to Vegas. And maybe we could play the Summit while I bet on the Bengals and get the points.
About 20 minutes outside we can do that.
As long as we're putting all the drinks on your number,
Tony
I'm going to the Summit.
We can do a lot of stuff.
Thanks for the whole season, Booger.
Booger, you're
Thank you for the whole
Thank
season
you, bro.
podcast,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anytime. Appreciate it, fellas.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, Chloe Kim gets gold for the second time.
And Gonzaga's Chet Holmgren, he's back on the court tonight, and we got a stat about him that's going to be hard to believe. You know what Booger does so much better than just about everybody else? He makes complex stuff understand.
Football analyst Booger McFarland and wearer of golf shirts. This one's Summit in Las Vegas. Let's go to the questions. Booger, you played defensive line. Would you rather be getting after Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford?
Well, for me, it had to be Matthew Stafford. And this is no disrespect to him because I think he's a really good athlete. But he doesn't quite have the pocket awareness that Joe Burrow has. I think Joe Burrow, now that Tom Brady has retired, he is the most elusive quarterback in the pocket. Now, it doesn't mean he's the fastest or the best athlete, but you just watch his pocket awareness, his ability to slide to the left or to the right and step up and elude defenders. It's outstanding. So as a defensive lineman going after that type of quarterback, it would really make my day long because I know even if I beat my guy and got back to the quarterback, I still have to make a second or third move to get Joe Burrow down.
Wow, man. I'm going to move this off quarterbacks for a second, Booger, because you do Tony's podcast. All he wants to do is talk about quarterbacks, maybe slip a receiver name in there now and then. I'm going to go far afield, and then we're going to have you introduce whoever you want because it's all quarterbacks, receivers, Aaron Donald a little bit. But who else in this game would you like to introduce as being a key figure, an important figure in the Super Bowl?
Well, I think if the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win this game, Joe Mixon is going to have to play a key role. And everyone talks about Burrow and the set of skills.